When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube, and welcome back to the Grease Goblins YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Frey pie theory. Now, the Frey pie theory was something that I thought was pretty common within the community, but I have had people ask me questions about this theory in particular, on what it's about, what are the supporting evidence behind it, and I thought I would make a video kind of talking about it, and it's a really interesting subject if you have never heard of it before. But before we get into the video, if you guys would like to subscribe, like, comment, and do all that stuff, helps out the channel a lot, reach more people that might like this content. And let's get into this video. So, getting into the video, the main idea here is that Wyman Manderly actually orders the killing of three main Freys. Now, these three Freys are Rhaegar, Simond, I'm not sure on the name, and Jared. Now, these three we all see at White Harbor when Davos, inevitably gets there. We have already some information that Manderly wants them dead, because when Davos is talking to Lord Manderly about kind of these North Remember type stuff, he's talking about kind of murdering the Freys and even kind of, mocking the guest right, of the Red Wedding and doing the same type of thing to the Freys. Now, with this being an idea, how does this come to play, right? How does this relate to the Frey pies? Well, something that we get back in A Storm of Swords when Robb is killed at the Red Wedding, we get this thing where Bran dreams actually Robb's death. And shortly after, Bran kind of thinks of the Rat Cook. Now, if you don't know who the Rat Cook was, he was someone that was kind of an evil cook. He was said to have killed a prince, put him in a pie, and fed him to a king. So, pretty dark there. And the weirdest thing about that we'll keep coming back to is that the reason is that this legend also goes with that the gods made him into a big white rat, not because of like some of the past things he'd done, just because of dishonoring guest right. So we see all this, it's related to guest right, the Freys, the ones that break the guest right, it all kind of lines up. And then we get this, thing that these three Freys die on their way to town. And we see that Big Walder Frey instantly suspects Lord Wyman of doing this, which again is a fair thing to do, and it makes a lot of sense for Wyman. And Wyman Frey's response basically is that because he was moving so slow, the Freys decided to go faster. They got impatient and decided to go off, by themselves. Very odd that then they would immediately be killed or they're, have a disappearance, right? So the idea is Wyman kills the three and then he bakes them into three pies because he shows up at the wedding in Winterfell for Ramsay Bolton and the presumed Arya Stark, even though it's actually not. He has three massive pies, and he seems very excited about these pies. He makes, a lot of people eat them, like Roose, Austin Frey, and Aenys Frey, right? He makes these people eat this pie, and he continues to say, this is the greatest pie you'll ever eat, or something like that. And he also goes on to eat two big portions of each pie, which is very odd. Like, we get it, Lord Wyman is a big guy, but he has two large portions of each pie. He really liked this pie. And what I think is the damning evidence for this theory, and what almost solidifies it in my mind, is that Lord Wyman, as this is going on, asks the bard Abel, right, to sing about the Rat Cook for them. Now, like we just got talking about, the Rat Cook was someone that cooked a prince into a pie and then served it to the king. That's a very specific song to be feeding or to be singing when they're eating a pie that is probably having Freys in it. Another big thing I wanted to point out within this theory is George has kind of had a running theme of cannibalism, especially later on in the books. We have this idea of the Skagossi being cannibals. We have the idea of, past the wall, them eating, other people like the Thens. it's not a very uncommon thing that goes on in A Song of Ice and Fire, is that we see this cannibal thing, especially going on later in the books, like I'd already said. But yeah, that is more or less the big Frey pie theory. I think it's a really fun theory. I really hope it is true. I think there's a lot of good evidence for why it would be true. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys think this is a correct theory, if it's not correct, if I'm missing some information that you guys think would disprove this theory, let me know, and I will see you guys all in the next video, and bye guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.